So the next point is, and this is number 6, okay? I don't think I've been saying the numbers, sorry guys, but this is number 6, and I've alluded to this quite a bit already. I should have probably made it a higher, one of the earlier numbers. Prioritize clearing your debts. It is difficult, almost impossible, to move towards being in a financially good place if you have debt that is overwhelming you, because all you can think of is how you're going to get out of that debt, especially when your income doesn't seem like it will be able to get you out of that debt anytime soon, especially when the debts, like some of these credit cards out here, are charging you 23%, and it seems like the debt is only getting more every month. So it's really important to prioritize clearing your existing debt. Have a plan. Drop another Excel sheet, or say this is how much I'm going to put down every month. This is what I'm going to cut back on. This is not time to say, ha, I really love doing this, I really love doing that, I must spend on this. If you are in debt, the only thing you should really love is clearing that debt. I'm serious. You really have to do that, because for you to move forward and to even talk about saving, talk about growing your money, you have to clear the debt. It's very important. There are so many people that give different tips on this. Dave Ramsey has, I think, is it the snowball method? There are different methods out there. I mean, there's so many resources out there about how to clear your debt, like strategies. So just study, read them, watch them, and whatever resonates with you is what you should do, because you're the one that's going to be implementing it. So you need to pick something that works, clicks with you, works for you, so that you can do this. Okay. The next point is audit your liabilities. Okay, still on debt. Audit your liabilities. Like, by liabilities, I basically mean debt, money you owe, things that you need to return back to people. Wherever you're starting from is wherever you're starting from. You know, there's no shame in that. Wherever you're starting from is wherever you're starting from. If you have debt, you have debt. And it's important to also bring out that Excel sheet. Excel is your friend. Line by line, put down the debt you have, the interest rates you have on the debt, your strategy for clearing the debt. Some people say, oh, tackle the one with the highest interest rates first. Some people say, tackle the smallest amount first. There are different names for those different methods, but the point is, know what these debts are and have your strategy to clear them, and don't give up. You know, keep pushing. And something else I want to say is, you know, especially in a society that is credit based, not all debt is bad debt. There's such a thing as good debt, and what really differentiates bad debt from good debt is if you're making a lot more from that debt than you're paying, right? So if you have a $1 million debt on a home that you pay, I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out here, 10K on every month, but you rent out that home as an Airbnb and you're getting 50K every month from that, obviously that's good debt. You know, because you're making money from it. And let's say the mortgage on the home is 3%, so your debt interest rate is 3%, but your internal rate of investment on the purchase is like maybe 20% or something. That's a no-brainer. That's good debt, right? But if you have a car that you're paying $1,000 on every month, you don't use it for Uber, nothing, you barely even go out, that's clearly not the best debt. Okay, maybe you can just pay a couple of thousand for a used car that will serve your purposes just as fine. So this is not to tell you where to put your debts, but it is to encourage you to look at the debt that you do have and ask yourself critically, what is this debt doing for me? If it's not, it's one of the debts that you have to put on your to clear list, you know, or maybe liquidate it and use it to write off the debt. I'm not a financial professional. This is just what I have learned and tips that I'm sharing out there. Okay, so number 8, emergency fund. So once you've got to the point that you've audited your expenses, you've cleared your debts and all of that, and you're feeling good, you're feeling like, okay, my feet is now, I'm getting my feet, I feel like I can actually put my feet on the ground and walk, it's time to have an emergency fund. Okay, because you don't want it to be at that time when you're just getting your feet on the ground that something just pops up and that credit card has to come out again. That's the point of having an emergency fund. And don't think emergency in the sense that the sky has to be falling, but emergency is just something happens you did not plan for and you have to pay for it. That's the simple definition of emergency. And different people, again, there are so many theories, have different theories of how much you should pay to, sorry, how much you should save in building up your emergency fund. So people will say 3 months, some people will say 6 months, some people will say 1 year. At the end of the day, how much you save is dependent on what gives you peace of mind. If everything was to go to right now and you didn't have any source of income and you had to take care of business, how much would you be comfortable having in the bank that you'll be like, okay, I think I got this? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 1 year? You may be somebody that you have skills that are so marketable that you know that you can never be down for more than 1 month. So maybe you're like, 3 months is good. Or maybe you have so many passive income sources, and passive income is things that are bringing in money for you when you are not even anywhere near them or thinking about them. So if you have that, you may not need a huge, you may not need or want a huge emergency fund. But if you don't, you may want a bigger emergency fund. And sometimes even just personality based, some people just feel more comfortable having more cash in the bank in case of anything. So that's up to you, kind of, and your situation. All these things are situation based, right? You should be wary of somebody that is coming out and telling you, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do, because nobody can really tell you what to do because they are not in your situation. The only person that can even kind of sort of tell you what to do would be like a certified financial planner who has gone through everything with you and actually really fully understands your financial picture. That kind of person can give you a concrete plan. But other than that, the advice should be somewhat generic. It's the principle that should stay the same. Okay, so that's number 8. Number 9. Number 9. So you got your emergency fund. Now it's time to start saving, right? Actually keeping this money together. If you're coming from a place of debt, you're coming from a place of financial lack, it can, and you have a risk adverse personality, yeah, that too, it can be really difficult to invest your money. You feel like, oh, you've been in debt this whole while, now you have some money, let me just keep this money in the bank where I know it's safe. It can be really scary to invest your money. But what is important to note is that keeping money in the bank is not saving your money, because the banks, at least in America, they give you very, very low interest rates, right? Like point something. Let's say you do a high yield savings account, that could give you, I think it's about 4% now for a high yield savings account. By the way, for your number 8 emergency fund, I think it makes sense to put the emergency fund in a high yield savings account, because anyway that's going to be in an account, right? So you might as well put it in an account that gives you the highest interest rates, which is, as far as I know, a high yield savings account. And also put it in an account that, and I'm going back to 8, sorry about that, but put that in an account that you don't really have access to like that, because this is for emergencies, it's not for fun. Okay, that's important. You don't need to have any cards associated with that account. You need to make it as difficult as possible to get the money out. Obviously, when you need the money, you can get it, but not that easy to access. Like maybe you don't have any credit cards. Definitely you don't have any credit cards associated with your accounts, or even debit cards. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because that's important in protecting your emergency fund. But back to number 9, which is invest. I know it can be scary, and you're like, oh, keeping money account is saving your money, but not really, because these bank accounts are paying almost nothing as interest rates, and inflation keeps going. So you're actually losing the value of your money by keeping it in the bank. So it's important to keep your money in a vehicle that at least tracks with the market at the very least. And I'm not here to tell you what to invest in, but I would just say personally, when it comes to investing in all these personalized things, like this person is telling you, oh, come, I have this, come and invest in this, or I have this business, come and invest in this. I mean, different strokes for different folks, but I personally feel that the bulk of your investment should be like a standard investment kind of thing, like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, that kind of thing. And even within the stocks, bonds, mutual funds space, personally, I feel like unless you're a person who full-time job is to analyze stocks, I feel like you don't really have business putting your hard-earned money into individual stocks and all of that, because you just don't have enough time to analyze the pros and cons of it, right? I know some people get lucky and really hit it with these individual stocks, but when you're talking about the core of your savings that you want to grow over time, that is, I feel that is best put in like your retirement plan, your 401k plan, like brokerage accounts, individual brokerage accounts where you're buying your stocks and all of that. And the stocks you will be buying there, because I did say, oh, you don't want to be buying individual stocks and trying and be checking every day, is it going up, is it going down? So in this sense, getting an investing in ETFs makes a lot of sense, because they are for the most part 0% like commission. You don't have to pay the brokerage for it, and it encompasses a suite of a type of stock. Like you would have an energy ETF fund, you would have a real estate ETF fund, you would have a total stock market ETF fund. So yeah, for example, the total markets ETF fund by Vanguard, which is VTI and VTSAX, it tracks the market, and over time it has shown to always go up, right? So if you are confident that the US economy in the long run would always go up, then maybe for you that feels like a safer bet. But always, as with all things, it depends on your risk tolerance. Some people are like, oh no, that's too low of an interest rate, I can invest in Tesla and make 1,000% in a couple of years, I just need to find the next Tesla. I personally don't feel like that is the the best vehicle to carry your retirement funds. I feel something safer and something more safe and consistent, like an ETF, investing in the total stock market, makes more sense. Someone also told me that there's some ETFs that they are growth ETFs, but they also like there's a cap to how much they can drop if the market drops, so they're like inflation protected or something like that. So there are so many different types, but these are generally speaking a more safe bet for people that are risk averse. And even within your 401k plans, there's typically always the one that tracks the total market, which you know a lot of people do encourage people that are not stockbrokers or actively tracking the stock markets, just invest in these broad stocks, because at the very least you will match whatever the market is saying, and this is your hard-earned money you're trying to grow. But of course, stock market is not the only way to grow your money. You can invest, you can invest in real estate, you can invest in anything. But whatever you invest in, do your research, okay, to make sure that it is something that matches your risk tolerance and something that makes sense, not something crazy, not something that will bankrupt you. You know what I mean? And that brings us to our 10th point. In doing all these things and saying you want to clear your debt, you want to save, you want to invest, there is the obvious elephant in the room that kind of caps how far you can go in a sense, which is your income. Because at the end of the day, everything you're spending, is coming out from your income, unless you are leveraging, right? Like you get debts or something. So if you've done your analysis, you're tracking your expenses, debts you need to pay off and everything, you would have some sense, some idea of how much you need monthly to make things work, right? And if you find yourself in a space that maybe things are getting too tight, you feel like you've already cut off everything you can cut off from your expenses, it might be time to consider getting a side hustle or even maybe changing your profession. Basically, number 10 is finding ways to boost your income. We are very much in a gig economy in these days. There are a lot of things that you can do by yourself, for yourself, without necessarily getting a job to boost your income. It could be a gig. There's Uber Eats, and all these gig economy type things. There is Airbnb. There is renting your car. There's so you think it probably exists. There's so many ways you can use to boost your income depending on how much time you have, and that's also something that again you need to customize for yourself. You need to think, okay, this is how much time I have, this is how much time my work takes, these are the things commitments I have outside of my work, how much time do I have, is it worth the money it's bringing? Because you don't want a case like maybe you are saying you're doing all this extra work and your kids, you have to get childcare for your kids that costs even more than what you're earning. Like you have to really analyze the situation. You get what I mean? So that whatever additional income you're bringing in is actually adding to your bottom line. Is not at the end of the day nullifying itself or even costing you to earn this additional money. And it could also be a long-term strategy. Maybe you go back to school to learn something so that you can earn more in the long run and everything. So yeah, that's number 10. Looking for ways to boost your income. But at the end of the day, as you've seen in all these 10 points, it is very much about looking at your own specific situation, customizing it to work for you, having a plan. None of this is like an overnight thing, like do this and everything is going to change. But it is definitely important to get a rein on all these things, your expenses, your liabilities, your income. It's good to it's necessary to understand them, to have them in check in order to even move to the next step of saying, okay, I want to grow financially, I want to be financially free, I want to stop working for the man. It's all about having a plan that works for you. And that's why watching videos, researching is so important, because it's only going to bring you one step closer to your dream. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm so excited that you joined me today. If you feel it helped you and can help somebody else, share, like, please subscribe, stick around, okay? You'll love it here. Bye.